Yes, people, we are back in the building once again. United State of Mind continues to roll on. This time, we are going to take a look at the amount of big chances that Manchester United are missing this season, but also when you look back at the kind of patterns, it's actually been happening right throughout Ten Hag's tenure at the club. So, we will discuss that in a bit more detail. We'll get into why we're missing so many big chances, what's the reasoning behind it potentially, um, and whether United will come out of that kind of slump and start putting away some of these big chances as we discuss further on. But before we do anything, people, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you're new, hit the notification bell and all of that good stuff right there. And let's get into the video. So, off the back of United's 0-0 draw with Crystal Palace on the weekend, obviously, once again, frustrating for a lot of fans, especially the ones that are chronically online. And I wanted to just switch the focus back to the real issue at hand. It's not about individual players, and this is what happens whenever there's a negative result for Manchester United. We don't actually do our job in terms of winning the game, and then everyone's picking their battles online, especially of whose fault was it? It's the manager's fault. It's this player's fault. It's that player's fault. When ultimately the real issue is that we just couldn't put away our big chances. So in that first half, United played really well, and you can start to see certain things are beginning to click, right? So chances are being created and they're being missed. Some big ones, obviously, from Alejandro Garnacho, Bruno, and all that stuff right there. But I'm not here to talk about the game. I'm just talking about the big chances in particular, why we are missing them. So United this season, they've missed 17 big chances in the Premier League so far. Now you're wondering to yourself, what is the definition of a big chance? So in football, a big chance is a situation where a player has a good chance of scoring a goal. This can happen in a number of scenarios, including a one-on-one situation when the player has a clear chance to score against the goalkeeper, close range when the ball is close to goal and has a clear path to it, and then penalties. Penalties are also considered as big chances. So, I mean, that's the definition of a big chance. And we seem to get ourselves, maybe not the penalties so much in Ten Hag's tenure, but definitely one-on-one situations, close range situations. We tend to get into those situations quite constantly in games under this current manager, right? So you're wondering to yourself, okay, so why, when we're getting into these scenarios countless number of times, but we're just not putting away the chances? If we go into a bit more detail in terms of the number of big chances missed in Ten Hag's tenure, so in his first season, the team missed 71 big chances in the league. In his second season, and that's last season I'm talking about, the team missed 50 big chances. And then obviously, as I mentioned before, 17 big chances missed this season. So if I, do my quick maths right now, that's 137 big chances so far under Ten Hag. Now, I wonder what the conversion rate is, and if anyone has the statistics to that. I didn't actually do that research, but if you do have it, put it in the comments below, because that would be interesting to be able to compare, our conversion rate over that time as well for each of those seasons. But when you look at it, right, we're creating these chances, so it can be seen as a positive thing, because once we connect the dots, we should be seeing good football and goals. And I think 5 games in, especially if we're talking about this season, 5 games in, I understand that, currently the team are, I believe, 11th in the league. That's 7 points from 5 games. It's not a great start, but it's on par with basically how we started in each of the other previous 2 seasons under Ten Hag. They're around a similar kind of thing. You've won 2 out of your first 4, and then I don't know what's happened beyond that. So we're kind of in the same place, right? Now it's really on the team to just continue to create those big chances, but then actually putting these chances away. I think an interesting thing for us to kind of look at is looking at that first season, right, under Ten Hag, where Rashford had that 30-goal season, and it seemed as if there was a perceived over-reliance on him in moments across that season, where he would be the guy that would take the games by the scruff of its neck and score the goals that would give us the victories in the various games that he was able to do that. And you want to avoid that kind of over-reliance on one player to score the majority of the goals. Let's look, case in point, look at Harry Kane at Spurs. He was scoring probably at a certain point in time, 60% of their goals. That is that in itself is a problem, right? Everybody within your team needs to chip in with goals. If you look at some of the great sides over the years in different teams, different leagues, everybody chips in with goals. Like, of course, you have your main goal scorers, but your defenders are getting goals from corners. You've got your fullbacks who are bombing into the box and getting long range shots or getting shots in from in the box. Your midfielders have to chip in. Your wide players, they have to chip in with goals. At least 5 to 10 you're expecting from all of those types of players. So that over-reliance on Rashford obviously would have forced the club into action because they could see that the forward line needed refreshing because of Martial injuries and whatnot, you know, like not having that out-and-out striker. And I'm sure the clubs, in my mind, I made a video like probably a year ago saying that United have to move for Harry Kane. This was before we went for Højlund, because that's the only standout player in the market that you could probably prize from a club like Spurs. And no offense to Spurs, they weren't really going anywhere and not currently going anywhere. And so Harry Kane is in the age bracket where he's just wanting to win things right now. And you're kind of looking at it like a potential RVP situation where you could probably bring in somebody who's going to give you guaranteed goals right now and propel yourself into the place where you're challenging, especially with a team that is creating so many big chances. You just need someone to put them away, someone that's a guaranteed goal getter. Now, obviously, that doesn't materialize because of the price tag of Harry Kane, or especially with Spurs not wanting to deal with direct rivals. So we're going to get a completely different price. And at the same time, there's no structure in place to be able to negotiate the best type of deal. And so he leaves Spurs and he goes to Bayern Munich, and that's dead. And so now you're left with not many real options, right? You're left in a strikers market which full of a lot of players with loads of potential, some with some skewed statistics. You know, I'm looking in the direction of someone like a Darwin Núñez, where he's had a really good season or a couple of seasons at Benfica, and we know Benfica are notorious for getting big transfer fees for players that they've had a hand in developing. And so he goes to Liverpool, and that's a big price tag, and he hasn't necessarily lived up to that price tag just yet. And then you look at the rest of the market. There's a Benjamin Sesko, who I think he's got smart advisors around it. They still want to see him continue to develop. You know, he makes the move to Leipzig from Salzburg, and then you know what they're doing there. And then beyond that, you know, there's a Jonathan David, whose name is flown about a lot, but hasn't really materialized a move for him. And there's all these different types of young strikers who've had their little moments from here and there, and it's not necessarily materialized as one standout name that you can go out there and get. So you go for the potential, you go and get Højlund. I've mentioned Højlund. There needs to be patience exercise with him. Hasn't had the most extensive footballing education. Hasn't really settled in any country that he's played in. So, you know, you have to give him some time. And I understand that may not necessarily ring well in the ears of United fans who are looking for that instant gratification, that instant success. But to get to success, I've mentioned this before, patience is key. Not saying that he shouldn't be excused for not scoring, you know, because he has to score goals. He's not just one for the future, he's one for right now. And so we're going to have to see how that goes. Obviously, off the back of one season where he scored 16 goals, he started the season injured. So coming back from injury, made his first appearance of the season against Crystal Palace, coming on in the last 15 minutes of that game. We're hoping that he gets himself back into full fitness and back into contention, first team, first 11, so that he can start getting onto the goal trail again. But then obviously this summer we bring in Joshua Zirkzee, who, you know, another player with potential. However, he's not an out-and-out striker. He even sees himself as a 9.5. That's how he's described himself, as someone that maybe could potentially down the line he becomes the replacement for Bruno in this squad as the permanent fixture as a number 10. But he's also had a slightly better footballing education than Højlund, but he's someone that doesn't have a extensive goal record. And that's something he's going to have to add in his game if he wants to really take it to the next level. Someone that he's already showing that he's a great facilitator, but he'll also have to add goals to his game because he needs to contribute on that side as well. And when I look at that, he's another one. He's one for the future, but he's also one for right now because of the makeup of the squad. So, I mean, where does that land us, right? Like, you're going to need players around our two young kind of focal points in the team in Højlund and Zirkzee to chip in with goals. So we know Rashford can do it, and he's got himself a bit of confidence, obviously, after after scoring against Southampton and then scoring in the League Cup game against Barnsley. Obviously didn't play at the start against Palace, so maybe that disrupted him a little bit, but we have to understand rotation is key now for the season, especially with now Europa League games coming in. The games are coming thick and fast, so rotation is key. Maybe you may need to just kind of leave some players in for 1 or 2 games extra, maybe just to keep the form going, but it is what it is. Decisions were made. It is what it is. Garnacho obviously started the season on fire. I think he scored, how many goals he scored? 4 or 3 or 4, I think, this season. But he started the season on fire, so you don't want to leave him out. You want to give him some opportunities to get some starts and stuff and get some, just to be able to do a bit more learning and development. So, I mean, those two, Ahmad needs to chip in with some goals. He's already got 1 this season in that game against Brighton. You're going to need Bruno to get onto the goal trail again. I wonder how that's going to develop over the course of the season, but he's going to have to chip in with a lot of goals as well, being one of he's the captain, and someone that over the last 4 seasons that he's been at the club has been someone that has been very, very prominent in terms of getting goals for the team. You're looking at the other players in the squad. Obviously, Matthijs de Ligt has looked very great in the air, especially on set pieces and corners and free kicks. Already scored 1, so you're looking for him to score some goals as well from those types of positions. And then beyond that, there's going to be goals spread around the team. I mean, Casemiro's good in the air, and he's had opportunities as well in terms of set pieces. Whenever he's on the pitch, will he be able to chip in with those types of goals? And then beyond that, it's just spreading it around the team, and that's where I feel like we're going to have to do that in order to remove the burden and pressure from Højlund and Xerxes as they continue their development, whilst also trying to get goals and contribute to that side of things for the team. So, all in all, this is just how it's got to be, right? For the time being, we just have to be patient. Like, it's 5 games in. Now, I understand that there's two years of evidence that people want to use as this is not good enough. But ultimately, from my perspective, it's the start of everything again. Because as I mentioned in previous videos, we're constantly changing the makeup of this first 11 and first team squad. That there's no time to really settle. There's been no time to really bed in what needs to happen here. You're starting to see a bit of fruits of it right now. Like, just looking at the way we're creating these chances, once again, it's showing that we're on the right track. It's just now, can those young players that we've got in there, specifically those, let's talk about this quartet of Xerxes, Højlund, Ahmad, Garnacho, are they going to chip in with a large amount of goals which we need to? Kind of something similar to when Oli had Greenwood and Martial and Rashford, where they had the freedom to just go out there, play, score. Can they get that? Can they get to those heights? I think they can. I think we're really pinpointing the fact. I think there's just a lot of contention in the fan base where, because some of the fans don't like the manager in place, they're not willing to give it a chance with what we have going on right now. And I think a frustrating result where you go 0-0 against Crystal Palace, where you feel like you should have won, is also going to allow people to maybe think about it in a different way. But you just look at what we actually have at our current disposal. You have 2 young strikers, or 1 out and out, 1 who's not necessarily a striker, probably a 9.5, a 10, but he should be still expecting to score goals. Such a physical presence. He should be able to get into some of those positions, and I think the work with Ruud van Nistelrooy may help him because of Ruud is just a known goal scorer throughout his career as a player, and then you're expecting all the others to chip in with goals, and you can see the willingness of Rashford, you can see the willingness of Ahmad and Garnacho to be able to do that. Bruno will also chip in with his. I'm not worried. Like, whilst it looks worrying, 137 big chances, as I mentioned before, over the last 3 seasons. If we convert, and I think it's coming, we should be fine. But look, people, it's a quick one, but I think is an important one, because it's the real reason why, or it should be the real topic after the game against Crystal Palace. I don't think the result necessarily should have forced people into their usual agendas or discussions about players and manager. But really what the real issue at hand was just not converting those big chances. I think we're going to get to that point where we will convert those big chances. I mean, you look at the game against Barnsley, we were putting them away. I know it's Barnsley, but we were putting them away. So it's not like they're shy in front of goal. They can do it. It's just in those moments now, pressurized, we're expected to put them away, and I think we will. And it's probably going to start off 1-20 on Wednesday, and then Spurs on Sunday, I believe it is. But anyway, people, look, it's another one. Let me know in the comments what you think about the situation with United and big chances so far this season, and obviously across the tenure of Ten Hag. Do you think we will improve? Are we in a stagnant place? Let me know in the comments. But it's another one for the books, people. Make sure you're hitting that like button, subscribe button as well if you're new. Hit the notification bell. United State of Mind. We're out. Peace.